remotely out of Webster. So when you hear those names, that's who those people are and where they are based out of. So then our map, we're divided up across the state here, and most all of our regional specialists live in their region or close to their region, so that they can get out and assist schools when needed and be that person in that area as a contact. So the yellow corner is my corner, the northeast part of the state. If we move to the left, the blue is the north central region. Amber Rost covers that. The far west, the gray area, that's Jamie's area. The green, if we move back to the right, the central part of the state is Brianna. And then the orange is Michelle Nelson. And then the darker blue is Kara Schweitzer. She's located in Sioux Falls. That's the east central region. So if you have questions, these are the people that you would go to, or you might be receiving emails from. Hopefully you're receiving emails from that person. But that is the regional specialist in your area. In addition to being a regional specialist, we're also content specialists. So for example, I work with the STEM cluster specifically and the arts and AV cluster. And so each of our regional specialists work with a particular cluster area. So I cover the whole state for STEM and arts and AV, and each individual specialist covers the state for that cluster area that they are in charge of. So if you have questions, so there's kind of two people that you can reach out to, your local regional specialist and then maybe your cluster specialist as well. So Vanessa had just put together a few talking points to kind of get us started. And maybe these are the questions you have, maybe they aren't. So feel free to ask questions or further explanation. I will give kind of a high level overview, as I said, and then we can kind of get into some more specific questions if you have them. So the talking points that she had asked me to cover or get us started with: how do I become part of an approved program in my district? What constitutes an approved program? What do I need to do to become CTE certified? And then how do I access Perkins funding? And then, of course, we'll have some questions and so forth. And I want to make sure that you are able to access a really good resource, and that's our DOE webpage. So I'll walk through that a little bit. There's quite a bit of content on there, and I'll just point out where you can find that. Okay. So any questions so far?
Nope, not so far. And I do want to let you know I am recording this, so we'll be able to post it so people can replay it later in case they do want to take the opportunity to view this.
Excellent. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to start with that first talking point. How do I become part of an approved program in my district? Program approval happens in the spring, kind of in that March timeframe. We ask that districts indicate what courses they're going to be offering for the next school year. There are some requirements that I'll talk about here in a little bit. So for this current school year, your programs are either already approved or not approved. And someone in your district has been working with this, and maybe you're that new person now, but each school should have a Google Drive that they were given access to last year. We've kind of changed our program application process, hopefully to make it more fluid and more readily accessible to people. So they should have a folder on a Google Drive. This is my drive that you're seeing on your screen. So I have all of the regions in my drive. I'll just open up the Northeast region. And since Abby's on here, I'll open up the Brookings folder. And if you don't have access to this, you'll want to talk with the other CTE teachers in your district and find out who has access or who maybe worked on this last year in March, so that you can also get into that folder and take a look at what those programs are. So we asked districts to use the sequence of course documents to indicate which courses they were offering. And I apologize, my internet must be really pokey right now. It's really thinking about opening this folder. Okay, well, we're going to move on. It doesn't seem to want to open that folder. So I will go to actually the DOE website and I can show you what's in that folder. So on the DOE website, this is one that hopefully you have bookmarked or already somewhere on your computer that you can quickly access. I like to use the black menu bar on the left-hand side. And from that menu bar, there's an A to Z index. And when you get to the A to Z index, if you scroll down to C, you'll see the second heading is career and technical education. This is a great like home base. If you're looking to find out any information about career and technical education in South Dakota, you would like to start here. And then from this page, hopefully you can find the topic that you need to find more information about. So you'll see the 1920 approved CTE programs that will be updated soon to say the 2021 approved CTE programs. There's some other information here that you can use as promotional materials, educator brochures, student brochures, our professional development options, and just other information that you can utilize either in your classroom or advisory committees, school boards, that sort of thing. And as you scroll down, the topics are alphabetical. And we've tried to condense everything that's on this website onto this page. So you could go here as your starter page and then branch out and find the information you're looking for. So as you scroll down, it's a pretty good list, but everything hopefully is housed here. So if you just get to this page, you should be able to move further and find what you need. So for program application, I'm going to open this career cluster and standards heading. I'm going to go to the career clusters page. We have each of the 16 career clusters listed here. I'm going to open up education and training. Once you get to the cluster page, you'll see this image over here. It's on my right when I'm looking at the screen. I'll click on that in just a moment, but before I do that, I wanted to scroll down. You'll find each of the courses and their course code. The far left column when I'm looking at it has the assignment code or course code. Then the course title, unpack standards, and certification requirements. If you are looking for standards for the course that you're teaching, if you haven't had access to those yet or seen those yet, if you click on the heading that's in that second column, it will open up the standards document that's associated with that course. And so you can see what the standards are for that individual course. The next column is an unpacking document that a work group of teachers and post-secondary individuals put together. And basically it takes the standards and it just kind of expands them and gives you some great ideas of how to actually implement that standard. Ultimately, how you deliver the standard is up to you. The standard is the same throughout the state. That's the standard that students should be able to accomplish or demonstrate as proficient. But how you get there is up to you. So in that standards, unpacking standards document, there are some ideas and things that you can use that might help you if you've not taught that in your school before, or it's been a few years since you've covered that content. You can take a look at that and just kind of a good idea starter, if you would. Okay, so back up to the top. The sequence of course document I will click on. This is the document that school districts use to indicate what their offerings are for the coming school year. So for 2020, 2021, we asked districts to highlight the courses that they would be offering to students in each of these different areas. Up at the top is the foundational course listing. Foundational means that they are covered in every single cluster or they're available to every cluster. The cluster courses in the blue area are specific to that cluster. The pathway courses in the orange area take the career cluster information and make it even more specific, take it a step further. Kind of as you move down, the level of knowledge should increase and probably the difficulty increase as you move through this document. Then there's dual credit courses. Of course, we can't list all of those on this document because they change often, but there's a link to where those dual credit courses are located. And then we also list the academic courses that are complementary to this cluster area. We try not to silo CTE. We want academic and skill-based courses like CTE courses to be working together. And so we always want to have an eye on what are the academic courses that are complements to the content that is being learned in your cluster area. And then finally, the capstone courses at the bottom, your senior experience, your internships, those kind of final capstone type courses. All right, so a district would indicate which of these courses that they're offering by highlighting those. We had them list the teacher next to that course, so we knew who was being the teacher of record for that course. And in order to have an approved program, we use the concentrator definition, and that is to have 2 courses in the cluster and pathway area, or. So either 2 in the cluster area or 2 in the pathway, 1 in each, some combination so that there are 2 courses in cluster and pathway. Now, a year or 2 ago, we also included the foundational courses and the academic courses and the capstone courses. Now that we've moved to Perkins 5, which happened last year, we started that process. Those courses are being counted with work-based learning indicators elsewhere. So they are no longer counted as concentrator courses. They're important, they're counted elsewhere. So we still need to offer them. However, the concentrator definition just focuses on cluster and pathway courses. So if you want to have an approved program, you have to have 2 courses being offered there. Now that could be 2 semester courses, 2 year-long courses, either one. And the other requirement is that they need to be a high school level course. So it could be offered to like in a middle school, as long as it's transcripted for high school credit. That is an option. Usually we don't see that in our CTE courses, but sometimes the school will offer a math class that's transcripted as a high school course. But that is an option if that is applicable. Okay, questions with that part?
I don't think so, Jane.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so then, so that should cover those 2 first pieces. And then what do I need to do to become CTE certified? So CTE certified is kind of a funny term, a term that's kind of maybe been around, maybe misunderstood a little bit. On your certificate, you won't actually have anything that says you are CTE certified necessarily. So we'll take a look and see what it would say. Currently, they are separated into cluster and pathway endorsements. And I'm going to go to Teacher 411. And this would be a place that you'll also want to kind of bookmark or note on your computer. And currently the PRF system is being updated at Open. That's the personnel record form. So someone in your district is indicating the courses that you're teaching this school year. So you might have someone, whoever's doing that, ask you, are you teaching this course? Are you teaching this course? This is kind of an important time to make sure that that list is correct. If you're a new teacher, maybe those courses change, maybe the course codes changed, you're offering something different than what was offered last year. So just making sure that that Teacher 411 record is up to date. And I don't know why this won't open. All right, well, we'll just let that think about it. Bummer. Okay. Well,
Jane, do you want me to share my screen because I've got it open on my computer, and then you can walk us through it?
Well, let me go back real quick to the CTE certification, and then if it opens, great. If not, we can switch to your screen.
Okay, great.
So if you're looking for information about teacher certification, and teacher certification is kind of an individual sort of thing. We have a lot of options. There was a work group a few years ago that took a look at ways to make that process more open so people from business and industry could come into our classrooms and teach the content area knowledge that they had, like in manufacturing and welding and automotive and transportation. So we have kind of a more uniform system than we did before. And so this changed a little bit. But if you are wondering about certification, and maybe not for you, but another teacher in your building, you might talk to one teacher and they're like, oh, well, I did this. And another person might say, well, I did this. And that's because they may have come from a different background. Somebody may have come from the workforce that didn't ever go through a teacher training program. Somebody maybe was a biology teacher and did the teacher training program, but now wants to shift over and teach some of those CTE courses. So everybody comes from a different background, and so their teacher certification road might be a little different. So it's hard to have kind of a one-size-fits-all answer for people. The quickest thing that I can have you take a look at is if you have questions and you click on this image that's on this teacher certification page, it'll break down the 4 options. If you were traditionally prepared, you graduated from like SDSU with a Family Consumer Sciences education degree, you're in that far left blue column. So you have taken the praxis, you are most likely fully certified, you've applied and have your teacher educator certificate, and you're good to go. We do ask that anybody that has gone through that traditional teacher prep program jump into a CTE 101 class, and that's the class that I teach. And kind of what I'm covering now is what I cover in CTE 101. It's just we go through all those different areas of South Dakota CTE and how to kind of navigate that system, if you will. So that is where that CTE 101 comes into place. You're already certified. Now we're going to get you qualified to utilize the Perkins funding and so forth. Orange column is for somebody who has a traditional education degree program, but not in a CTE area, so biology or English or something like that. The green column is for somebody who has maybe a degree in some type of an engineering area. They want to come in and teach some STEM courses or aviation, and they're going to have to kind of come up to that educator coursework level and do some things there to qualify for that. The far right column is our permit column, and that's just a really specific permit, maybe for somebody who's teaching welding or an automotive course. They're using their work experience, and we're trying to help them kind of merge into the classroom by learning a little bit more about what CTE is and kind of the underlying principles of CTE, and then also having them do a mentoring program or a mentored internship where they're kind of student teaching on the job and providing support for that. So they have kind of a network of support. Okay, I'll answer this last question and then we'll see if we can go over that Teacher 411 if you want to do that. How do I access Perkins funding? So someone in your district should know who the Perkins contact person is. There's usually one person that's kind of the go-to person for that. Those budgets have already been sent in. They've already been approved. If you're in a consortium, meaning you partner with other districts and how you spend that Perkins funding, there's another person maybe in your district, maybe not in your district, that is kind of facilitating that process. If you're a standalone district, Brookings, for example, is a standalone district. So you have someone submitted your Perkins grant application. It's been approved, it's been returned. That information you would want to probably talk to your business manager if you are unsure of what is in there, or maybe the previous teacher left you information. But you would access that Perkins funding. First of all, you need to find that person and find out what was asked for and that sort of thing last year, and then possibly even work with a consortium to do that. So currently, those funds have been allocated for this year, this current school year. They can be amended, adjusted, and so forth. But then that process will start again in the spring. So just kind of a FYI about that process. Okay, questions? That is like the speed version of all of that. So
it was, but I think
questions.
You've covered quite a bit, and I think you've answered some really important questions, but in a condensed version, so that if we have more that we need to go to, we know who to contact, where to go, and I think that's important, Jane. Your 411 is still spinning. Do you want me to share my window and then you can walk us through it?
Well, I guess we could ask, maybe people are familiar with that. Maybe we don't need to go there. Does anybody have a question about Teacher 411? Okay. Yeah, if you get a chance, go in and look and make sure that yours is correct. Would be a good idea. So access your file. It'll talk about where you're at in terms of certification. If you're CTE prepared, it'll list your endorsements and it'll list the courses that you can teach. And then it should at the bottom list the courses you're currently teaching. So it's just a good idea to go in and make sure that that is all correct. It is important because at the end of the year when we do that data collection, which I haven't touched on yet, but that will be coming. You'll hear more about that throughout the year. When we do the data collection, you'll want to make sure that that course listing is correct because the systems talk to each other. And if they can't find something, there'll be an error and so forth. So it's better to just fix it on the front end.
Perfect. Are there any questions from anybody regarding CTE certification, programs within your district or within your school, what you need to do to maybe move forward, anything like that? Or maybe not even any of those questions, just maybe one that you had that you planned on asking when you logged in today. It's like sitting in class. If there's not any questions, Jane, I really do appreciate you sharing the fast version. I think that we're right at 30 minutes, which is perfect. And I did start recording right on your first slide. So I'm going to be able to save this and we'll share it. We'll see about getting it into either the Google Drive for CTE or sending it out, posting it on the SDA CTE website. We'll host it somewhere and make sure we get that information out to everybody so that that's available.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, thank you all for coming, and I appreciate you logging in and joining us today. We are going to try to do a few more of these throughout the school year. We want to get the word out and make sure we get as much information to our members and non-members alike. Otherwise, you're welcome to leave the meeting, and thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Abby.